F1 Power Rankings, official top 10 informed drivers. Hamilton top, Alonso and Ocon slide. Lewis Hamilton took a huge stride closer to his 5th World Championship after a dominant victory in the Japanese Grand Prix last weekend. The Mercedes driver is now 67 points clear of rival after leading from lights to flag at Suzuka, while the Ferrari man could only manage 6th. Valtteri Bottas came home 2nd ahead of a hard-charging, with the Dutchman securing his spot behind Hamilton in the official. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon have slipped down the standings based on their performances over the past 3 races. But who are the big movers? 10. Fernando Alonso, McLaren, -1 last race, 14th championship position. 10th Alonso drops down a spot after a frustrating weekend which saw the Spaniard get another blinding start before being hit with a 5-second penalty after a tussle with Lance Stroll. The 2-time world champion remains in the top 10 on the back of an impressive display in Singapore. Pierre Gasly, Toro Rosso, +1 last race, 11th championship position. 14th Gasly came away from Suzuka pointless after losing out to Carlos Sainz late on, but only because Frenchman was severely hampered by vibrations in the closing stages. Outpaced by Brendan Hartley in qualifying but much stronger on race day and backed up strong showings in Singapore and Russia to climb the rankings. Esteban Ocon, Force India, -3 last race, 9th championship position, 11th. A big faller in the power rankings this week after a race of missed opportunities. A mistake in FP3 left him with a grid penalty that hampered his whole weekend, having proved quicker than teammate Sergio Perez and in with a great shout of serious points. Kimi Räikkönen, Ferrari, -1 last race, 5th championship position. 4th. Ferrari had a nightmare in Japan, but Räikkönen did all that could be expected of him in the circumstances. Out-qualified Vettel but took a whack off Verstappen and toured round for another 4th place finish. The Finn moves down due performances from those around him, as opposed to any fault of his own. Daniel Ricciardo, Red Bull, +2 engine trouble on Saturday left the Australian starting 15th, but Ricciardo got his head down and started passing cars for fun. Red Bull didn't really have the pace to compete with Ferrari, but the 29-year-old's drive to beat the 2 prancing horses deserves plenty of praise. Solid if unspectacular drives in Singapore and Sochi combined to see Ricciardo shoot up the rankings. Carlos Sainz, Renault, +2 Renault were absolutely nowhere in Russia and seemed set for more of the same after practice at Suzuka. However, Sainz got stuck in on Sunday and gamely hunted down a nailing Gasly to steal the final point in the closing laps. Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes, +last race, 2nd championship position, 3rd. A very solid weekend from the Finn as he looks to overcome the heartbreak caused by team orders in Sochi. Things got a little bit dicey late on after a lockup led Verstappen close, but Bottas held his nerve to secure yet another 1-2 for Mercedes. Charles Leclerc, Sauber, +last race, DNF championship position, 15th. The Monegasque looked in fine form during practice, and while things didn't go his way during qualifying, the 20-year-old still started in the top 10 due to Ocon's penalty. A heart-in-mouth moment with Kevin Magnussen left Leclerc with damage on his car, but the Sauber race gave as good as he got with some brilliant defensive driving before eventually retiring. Max Verstappen, Red Bull, +Verstappen has been at the top of his game over the past 3 races, bagging a podium in Singapore and staging a brilliant comeback in Russia before his eventual afternoon in Japan. The Dutchman picked up a penalty for his tangle with Räikkönen and could arguably have given Vettel more room, but his late charge after Bottas showed the type of form the 21-year-old is in. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, +/ The Mercedes star has been imperious over the past few races as he closes in on a 5th world title. Hamilton was only beaten in one session all weekend and led every lap of the race as he cemented his standing as the class of the field.